So we're gonna start seated this morning. If you wanted to sit on something, I always highly recommend that. It just gives your hips a little bit of time to get used to the idea of being awake. So maybe elevating your hips and sliding a block underneath of your base. And scooting towards the front of that. If not, no big deal. Just finding a comfortable seat, but making sure that you are giving your tailbone an opportunity to wag back behind, which might mean that you're kind of lifting up your bum on both sides and scooting it behind you. And then letting your hands come to rest on the tops of your thighs. If you're sitting in a cross-legged pose, let's put that right ankle in front for now and then line up your right ankle with your left ankle. Go ahead and close your eyes. Just gently press your hands into the tops of the thighs until there's a sense of lining up your shoulders with your pelvis. Breathe into the base of your belly and let your belly get round. And as that breath continues to travel up, see if you can imagine that your spine gets a little bit longer with it, that there's a buoyancy, almost like your head was floating on the top of the spine. And then keeping all of that length, exhale and see if you have a sense of rooting back down. So as we rise, we also stay grounded. Breath in through your nose, fill up your lungs. Maybe a little sip at the top of that inhale. And then an open mouth exhale, let it all the way back out again. Starting to tighten those lower belly muscles back towards the spine so that you're really pressing or emptying all of the stell prana out of the lower abdominal region. Again, fill up. See if you can have a sense of your ribs expanding in all directions. So you're not holding on, you're letting the whole of your torso expand. Open your mouth and exhale, release. One last big breath in. This time at the top of that inhale, taking one more sip, and then holding your breath, tucking your chin down, lifting the muscles on your pelvic floor, your lower belly, seeing if you can have the sense of that broadening through your chest. And then lift your chin and exhale all the way back out. Breath in, reach those arms all the way up. Bring your palms to press above your head. Move your arm bones back and reach the fingertips up towards the sky. Hug the elbows in towards the sides of your face. Maybe even start to take your gaze up towards your extended hands. And as you do that, see if you can start to let your chest elevate, that the shoulder blades kind of tip underneath the back of the chest to add a little gentle back bend through your thoracic spine. And then exhale, let your hands release all the way back down again. Palms coming to face up now on the tops of the thighs. Inhale, reach up. Palms come to press. Lengthening the sides of your waist as you take your gaze up. And then exhale, let those hands release all the way back down, broadening across the shoulder blades. One last time, inhale, lengthen the arms towards the ceiling, cross the thumbs, elbows in, chest lifts, gaze lifts. Last big breath in. And then exhale, let those hands float all the way back down next to your sides. Take the right hand to the outside of your left thigh. Let your left fingertips wander back behind you. So a little gentle back bend from a seat. Pressing into your right palm to rise up. And then turn, rather than from your hips, you're turning from your abdomen and your chest. So if that right hip wants to wander forward, see if you can draw it back in line with your left hip. And then take your gaze over your left shoulder. Drop your left ear towards your left shoulder. So you're stretching out the right side of the neck. And you might even do a little nod, yes and no. Inhale to unwind, send those arms all the way back up to frame your ears, and then exhale, twist in the opposite direction, taking the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Stay broad across the collarbones without collapsing the shoulder blades together. So there's a sense of the front body and the back body having bandwidth, having space. And then starting to pull the navel back and in to make that twist just a little bit more juicy. Drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Nod that head a little side to side. You might even soften your jaw, so letting your teeth and your lips part. And then inhale, unwind all the way back to center, arms reach up. Let the hands release down in front of you. If you're sitting on a block, go ahead and place that out to the side. And then walk your hands out in front of you. Keep your sits bones grounded so you're still connected to the floor. You're walking your hands forward, letting your forehead drop down towards the mat. Little stretch for the back of your neck. Trying to find a way so that I'm not so backlit. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's not much better. Walk both of your hands over towards the left edge of your mat. So you're gonna keep those arms forward, but you're tiptoeing the fingers over towards the left edge of your mat so that now you feel a stretch maybe even more along that right side body and the outside of that right hip. Bring the hands to the tops of the knees and roll up your spine one vertebra at a time, coming into a seated position. And then as you lean back, let your feet come off of the floor and switch the cross of your ankles. So you're placing the left ankle in front of your right ankle. Inhale, arms sweep up to frame your ears. And then exhale, hands to the floor, walking the hands out in front of you. Again, remember that those sits bones stay on the floor. Try to press your knees down and wide, and you might even engage your glutes a little bit to help with that. Start to walk both hands over towards the right edge of your mat. So now you're getting that stretch predominantly on the outside of your left hip, the left side body. Softening neck and shoulders, so letting that head just drop down in between your arms. And then bring the hands back to center, hands to the tops of the knees, roll it all the way into a seated position. Let's lean back again so that we can bring the soles of the feet to the floor now. So you're rolling all the way up your spine, catching the tops of your knees. I'll turn so you get a better view this way. Lean back so that you can lift your feet off of the floor, coming into Navasana or boat pose. Drawing the shoulder blades together, and then drawing your thighs towards your chest towards your thighs. Maybe releasing the hands and reaching for the outer edges of your feet now. Keeping the heart lifted and the belly toned. Now tap your right toes all the way down to the floor. And then lift those right toes slow and controlled. Flex that right foot. Tap your left toes to the floor. And then lift that left foot, flex your left toes. Taking it right to left with a smooth breath, side to side. For 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, tapping those right toes. Maybe both of the legs straight now. Keep your chest lifted, reaching your fingertips towards the space in front of you. And then plant your feet all the way down to the floor, bring your hands behind you, and let's come into a reverse tabletop pose. So lifting those hips up, squeezing your glutes, wrapping your shoulder blades together, and then linking your tailbones towards the back of your knees. Try to keep those knees parallel to one another. See if you can take your gaze up towards the ceiling as you press up and out of the joints of the shoulders. And then exhale, release your butt all the way back down to the floor. Cross your ankles on the mat and transition back to downward facing dog. So hands come forward and you're moving the sides of the waist. A little wiggle, a little movement in that first downward facing dog. Stretching out the backs of the thighs. Wiggling your hips a little bit side to side. Making sure that you're rooted down through your pointer finger, your thumb, and then wrapping those arms so there's a sense of outer rotation in your upper arm to kind of give you a little bit more bandwidth around the back of your body. Tighten your lower belly. Let's find a moment in stillness in our downward facing dog. So both heels pressing down, backs of the legs long, sides of the waist moving up and back. Big breath in. Open mouth exhale. Inhale through your nose. We'll take lion's breath. Let your tongue come out. Cross your eyes. Breath out through your mouth. One last time. Inhale, fill up. Lion's breath. Now look forward to the top of the mat and take a bunch of little tiny baby steps to walk your feet all the way up to your hands. And then bend your knees so that you're resting your belly on your thighs, letting your forehead relax down towards your shins. You're gonna reach for the clasp of opposite elbows. So your head is hanging in the frame of your arms. The weight is coming slightly forward towards the front of your foot. Tighten those lower belly muscles and lift the sits bones way up as you relax the crown of the head down. Take a little rock side to side, so swaying those hips right to left. And then releasing the hands all the way down to the floor and rolling up to stand. So try to keep that anchor of your feet down into the floor as you come all the way up. Head and shoulders are the last things to rise. And then those arms will sweep out and up, bringing your palms to press above your head. I know it's so hard to find the right place with our cameras. I see a bunch of strong legs though. Exhale, let's hold all the way back down again. So bend those knees, poke your sits bones back, take a big wide arm span, and take your time to fold all the way back down to the floor, releasing your hands to frame your feet. Slide the hands halfway up to your kneecaps, pressing the arms to straight and lengthening from your head to your tailbone. Now plant your hands on the floor and step back to your downward facing dog. Roll forward through your spine, stack your shoulders over top of your wrists.
Option to keep your knees lifted, or you can lower the knees down. That's always an option. You're gonna press into your toes to shift the chest slightly forward, and then bend those elbows in and back, and you're gonna lower all the way down. Slow, 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 slow. Bringing the belly and the hips all the way down to the floor. Bring the tops of the feet to the mat. Hug those elbows in tight to the sides of the ribs, and curl up into a low cobra pose. So for this first one, those hips stay down. Really nice, guys. That looks fantastic. Soften the shoulders down and away from the ears, and then traction your hands back to draw the center of your chest forward. Press your toenails down. Exhale, release all the way back down to your forehead. Press your hips to your heels for child's pose. So knees go wide, forehead and chest come to the floor. Maybe take a little rock side to side here. So opening up your psoas muscle, really creating compression for your psoas muscle that attaches the lower back to the legs. Now roll forward through your spine. Let's stack shoulders over top of wrists. We're coming into a tabletop pose. Bring the knees underneath of the hips, so you might have to walk those knees in closer to one another. And then take your right leg straight back behind you, lifting it up to the height of your hip. Look down the line of your body. Make sure that those toes are facing the floor. And then notice if your ribs are collapsing down. I want you to suck those bottom two ribs in. Start to turn your toes to face the side of the room now. So you're rotating from your hip, turning your right toes to face the side of the room without letting the rest of the body go with. Only thing that's moving is that right leg. Curl your right knee up towards your right elbow. Suck the right knee into center and extend it back. So you should feel this a lot in your core, but we're also working to create mobility in that right hip. So turn the right toes to the side. We'll do this a few more times. Remember that that left hip might want to wander in. Try to keep it stacked over top of your left knee. Hug the right knee towards your right armpit or towards your right elbow. Really lift it as high as you can get it. Press and widen through your upper back. Bring the right knee into center and then extend it straight back. So we're moving really slow and controlled, but let's do that 2 more times at your own pace. Come take a look. Yeah, these look really, really strong, my friends. One last time. You're all doing a really nice job of keeping that pelvis really stable while you're moving the leg. One last time. Take that leg straight back behind you and lift the foot like you could place it on the ceiling. So it's like you were holding a tray on your foot. And there might be a tendency to want to open the hip. I want you to keep that right hip facing down so that as you lift the right foot up towards the sky, you're going to feel it in your glute and your hamstring. The active flex of your foot will help with this a lot. Suck those bottom 2 ribs in. Now curl your left toes under and lift your left knee off of the floor. Start to walk your hands back towards your left foot, still keeping that tray on your right foot. So my hands are all the way back in front of my left foot and my right heel is way up towards the sky. You should feel this in your glute quite a bit. Now curl the right knee in towards your nose, rounding through the upper back and re-extend. Let that foot reach way up towards the sky. Exhale, knee to nose, round. Try to kick your heel towards your glute at the same time. And then reach it up and back. One last time, curl in. And extend. Now walk your hands back forward. Nice and slow, lower that left knee all the way down to the floor. And extend your right leg straight back behind you. Curl the toes under there on the mat now. And just take a little rock side to side, front to back. Now bring your right knee back down to the floor. Second side. Left leg goes straight back behind you to start. Remember that we're working to lift that foot up to the height of the hip, but you can actually look down the line of your body. Make sure that your left hip isn't opening to the side. You're keeping it facing the floor. And then reach from your head to your heel, suck your bottom 2 ribs in. Start to turn the toes now. So left toes turn to face the side of the mat. Bend that knee up towards your left armpit. Bring it to center and extend it straight back behind you. So really controlling the movement rather than working to do more of them. Like you were moving through molasses in January. You're gonna do that 3 more times at your own pace, but you can make it a little bit more fluid so it becomes more like a circle. Filling it with breath. Nice work. Taking that leg straight back behind you, bending the knee like you could plant the foot on the ceiling. And then really lift that heel up so you feel it right where the glute meets your hamstring almost. Remember that left hip should be facing down and you're feeling the core really strongly engaged. Curl your right toes under, lift your right knee and start to walk the hands back towards your right foot. So you're coming to the back of your mat, left hip is still facing down, left heel is reaching way up, and that right leg is straight. Now curl the left knee in towards your chest, round through your upper back, and re-extend. Really kick that heel towards the sky. Exhale, squeeze, draw in, and inhale, reach. Last one, knee to nose, press through the back, through the upper back, widen, and then re-extend. Remember that foot is towards the sky, the knee is bent. Walk your hands forward, coming back into preparation to bend your right knee, bringing that right knee all the way back down to the floor. Left leg extends straight back, the toes are curled under, and they're on the mat this time. Take a little rock. Nice work. So left leg stays back, right leg goes to meet it. Let's take it from high to low. Bring it all the way down onto your belly. Tops of the feet down, lifting up into your cobra pose. Exhale all the way back down to your forehead. Option to press to a child's pose or to the top of a push-up. Fire up your legs, your belly, straight up and straight back to downward facing dog. Now look forward to the top of the mat. You might step, you might walk, you might jump those feet to meet your hands. Find your half lifts. And exhale, release to your forward folds. Inhale, arms sweep all the way out and up. Bring your palms to press above your head. And then exhale, bend those elbows into the shape of a cactus. Hips forward, chest curls up. So think about tilting your elbows towards that top corner of the room, which will encourage the shoulder blades to kind of nestle underneath the back of the chest, opening the thoracic spine. Inhale, arms reach back up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold, take it all the way down. Find your half lifts. Plant your palms, maybe step, maybe jump your feet back to a bent knee down dog. So you're landing light, hips up high. Roll forward through your spine, coming into your high plank pose. Shoulders stack over your wrists. Exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale to cobra pose. Exhale, lower all the way back down to your forehead. Child's pose or the top of a push-up, your option. And then take those hips back to downward facing dog. Take a breath and reach your right leg towards the sky. Bend the right knee, place the foot on the ceiling. Or, I guess that's more of a metaphor. But keep that right hip facing down towards the mat. Now curl the knee in towards the chest without your hips going forward. So see if you can bring your nose and your knee closer to touching. Kick your heel towards your glute. Now roll forward through your spine. Stack your shoulders over your wrists. Take a giant step. Place your right foot up in between your hands. Let your back knee come all the way down to the floor. And let's rise up. Send those arms up to frame your ears. Moving those arm bones back, widening your wingspan. Bend your elbows into the shape of a cactus. And then find that press forward of your elbows and up with your elbows. Remember, there's that scissor action of your inner thighs to create support and foundation in the legs. Take those arms even further back. Pinky fingers turning forward, thumbs turning back. Bring your hands behind you, interlace your fingers. Reach your knuckles straight down towards that back knee. So your hands are interlaced into a basket, and you're throwing an anchor down as you continue to drive your hips forward. Especially make sure you're scissoring that left inner thigh towards the right inner thigh. And then release your hands all the way down to frame your front foot. Now let's walk both hands to the inside of your right leg. Start to straighten your right leg out to the side of the body. So it's challenging, but you're working to lift that right foot up as close to the height of your right hip as you can get it. So I'll come over here just to give you guys a better view. That right leg is out to the side here. I'm working to pull my left hip in towards midline, and I'm squeezing the outside of my right glute. Best of your ability, squeeze and lift. If your muscles are shaking, I promise you're doing so. I know. I see you shaking your head at me. It looks great. All right, take one more big breath in. And then see if you can take that right leg all the way forward. Keep that leg straight and place the foot back where it was. Right knee bends. That was great, guys. All right, curl those left toes under and extend the right leg all the way up and back. Bend your right knee and circle that right knee forward. And then bring your right foot all the way down to the floor. Roll forward through your spine. High plank pose. One last time, we're gonna bring it all the way down onto our bellies. Elbows in, body long and flat like a board. Cobra pose. Exhale all the way back down to your forehead. Fire up your legs, take a big breath in, prepare. Exhale, press straight up and press straight back. Downward facing dog. All right, keeping that left hip closed off first. You're lifting that left leg up, bending the left knee, but remember the hip isn't opening to the side. For this first part of it, we're keeping the hip facing down, and you're lifting from the back of your left leg. So lift that left foot until you can really feel your left glute engage, your left hamstring engage. Keep driving the pelvis up and back. Curl the knee in towards your chest without letting your hips go forward. So keep driving your right heel down, your right hip crease back. See if you can bring your knee close to touching your ribs. Then start to roll forward so that your shoulders stack over your wrists. Take that giant step, place your left foot all the way up in between your hands. Let your back knee come all the way down to the floor. Untuck those back toes. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. So arm bones start to move back. Maybe you're even bringing your palms to touch. And then you're gonna start to extend that wingspan back behind you. So pinky fingers turning forward, thumbs turning back. Reach the fingertips as if you could touch the side of the room as you take the arms behind you. Let your chest lift. Keep squeezing those inner thighs together, pressing your left big toe forward. One more big breath into rise, and then bring your hands behind you, interlace your fingers, reach the knuckles down. So let's take the opposite cross of our hands, the kind of non-habitual way, where the thumb that feels a little wonky is on the top. And then pressing forward, especially right inner thigh, scissors towards the left inner thigh. Right glute really squeezing. Open, open, open through your chest. And then release your hands down to the inside of that left foot. So you're gonna try to straighten, and I know this is super challenging, but you're gonna try to straighten that leg, and it goes forward first, and then you're bringing it out to the side. So you're working to lift that left foot as high as you can. You're working glute med here, which is one of the parts of the body that gets the least amount of love, especially in yoga. So pulling those toes closer to your shoulder, the toes are facing the side, lift from the outside of your leg, press into both hands. I know. One more big breath in, and then see if you can bring that leg forward, 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 keep it straight, and then plant the toes and rebend the knee. Awesome work, everybody. Take a breath, driving the pelvis forward. And then curl your right toes under and extend your left leg all the way up and back. Bend your left knee, open the left hip, and circle that left hip forward. A few big wide sweeps. Bring that left foot all the way down to the floor. Roll forward through your spine. This time, if you prefer to practice a traditional chaturanga pose, press into the toes, shift forward, elbows bend in, lower halfway. Tops of the feet to the mat, upward facing dog, and then roll those hips back, downward facing dog. Look forward to the top of the mat, step, walk, or jump the feet to meet your hands. Find your half lift, and exhale, release to your forward fold. Inhale those arms all the way out and up, bring your palms to press above your head, and exhale, hands land in front of your heart. Bring your big toes to touch. Heels can separate slightly. We'll come into Utkatasana pose. So sinking those hips low and back like you were sitting in an invisible chair. Squeezing those inner thighs together as you send your arms all the way up. You might even bring your palms to touch. Make sure your gaze is forward rather than down. Yeah, looking good. So Utkatasana pose, nice. Exhale to your forward fold. Hands come all the way down to the floor. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale, release your hands all the way down. Step or jump those feet back to your bent knee, downward facing dog. Roll forward through your spine, high plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward dog. And then exhale, hips back, downward facing dog. Inhale, take your right leg sky high. Bend the knee like you could put your foot on the ceiling. Walk your hands back towards that foot. So you're coming to the back of the mat, that hip is facing down. You're curling your heel way up towards the ceiling. This time you're gonna curl the knee in towards your chest. Try to keep all four corners of your left foot on the ground as you skate your right leg all the way through. So we're coming down into a pistol squat. If you have to come up onto the ball of your left foot, that's okay, but do the best that you can. Right leg is forward. You're lifting that right heel off of the floor. Now start to bring weight forward into your right foot, and you're gonna spring off of your back toes, finding warrior three pose. So right leg straightens, left leg goes straight back behind you. Left hip turns to face down. See if you can level off your torso. So you're making sure that your torso and your leg are in the same line, and that line is parallel to the floor. Now send the arms up above the head, bringing your palms to touch, crossing your thumbs. Lifting those arms up so that they're framing your ears and reaching from your heels to your fingers. Now bring your left foot all the way down to the floor and come up into your high lunge pose. So if you don't land quite the way that you want to, make sure that that right knee doesn't come in front of the right ankle. You can shimmy that foot forward. Arm bones move back. Scissor that left inner thigh forward, squeeze your left glute, bend into your right knee, get a little deeper. Start to take those arms back behind you. So finding that wingspan. Fingertips are reaching in opposing directions. Pinky finger turns forward, thumb turns back. And then move those arms back behind you, interlace your fingers, reach the knuckles down towards the floor. Keep squeezing those inner thighs. Very slowly, like you were lowering an elevator, lower your back knee all the way down to the mat. Let it tap the floor. Untuck your back toes and release the hands to the inside of your front foot. Take your right leg out to the side. Straighten the leg. Bring it to the height of your right hip, directly out of your right hip. So trying to pull that left hip crease back, level off your pelvis, lift from the outside of your right thigh. Now take your right leg straight back behind you this time. Cross your right leg behind your left leg. So that right leg is crossing behind the left leg. The knees will bend, and you're gonna sink your hips back towards your heels. So it's a little bit like Gomukhasana or cow face pose. This should feel really nice. It's stretching out all of those muscles that we were just using. Letting your forehead release down towards the floor. Think inner rotation in your thighs, so the back of your pelvis is kind of broadening. And then bring your weight forward, and take your right leg straight back behind you. Take your right leg out to the side. Try to keep that right leg straight for as long as possible, and you're gonna bring it all the way back to the top of the mat, plant the foot so that all four corners of your foot are on the floor. Curl your back toes under, lift your back knee, so you're in a more active variation of a low lunge. And you can either stay up on your fingertips here, or you might lower your forearms all the way down to the floor. Traction your hands back to draw the center of your chest forward. But keep activating that left thigh. Right knee pulling in towards your right shoulder. Looking good, ladies. Take one more big breath and look forward rather than down. And then let's step the right foot back to meet the left foot. So you're coming into a forearm plank now. Forearms are on the floor. Press and widen through your upper back. Looking forward. All right, we're gonna do a little bit more core work here. We're getting a little bit of everything today. You guys are gonna love me. Let's untuck the toes so the tops of your feet are resting on the floor, but you're keeping your hips and your thighs lifted. So I'm still in a forearm plank, but just the tops of my feet are on the floor. And then very slowly, I'm gonna lower my shin bones, my knees, then the tops of my thighs, and then my hips come all the way down. We're not staying here long, that's just the setup. We're gonna curl up and down. So press and lift your hips, lift your thighs, lift your knees, lift your shins, so you've got this hollow front body, but you're looking forward rather than back at your legs. Squeeze the lower belly up and in. Lower your shins, lower your knees, lower your thighs, lower your hips. You're in Sphinx pose, pulling hands back to draw the chest forward. One last time. Press into those forearms. Lift your lift your shins, lift your knees, lift your thighs, lift your hips, press and widen, and then lower shins, lower knees, lower thighs, and lower hips. Whew, that one gets me every time. All right, we're gonna curl the toes under, lift the lower body off of the floor, and then place your left hand on the mat, right hand on the mat, take the sides of the waist up and back to downward facing dog. Inhale, take your left leg sky high. Exhale, bend that knee like you could place the foot on the ceiling. Walk your hands back towards that right leg, so you're at the back of the mat with that left foot lifted sky high. Remember that the hip is facing down. Curl the left knee in towards your chest. round the spine. See if you can walk your hands close enough to that right foot that as you lower into your pistol squat, your right heel stays on the ground. And you're gonna take that left leg all the way through. So hands might have to walk a little bit further back. Do the best that you can. If you have to bring your left heel to the floor, that's okay. Otherwise, try to lift it up. Chest lifted, belly strong. Now bring the weight forward into that left foot. So you can kind of spring off of your fingers. Front knee bends, back leg straightens. Arms go straight back behind you, so you're finding your warrior three. Take a moment to land it. Transition can be just as important as the poses that we're trying to land. And don't worry, you'll have another chance to try that transition. Left hip crease pulls back. Lift from the back of your right thigh. Maybe extend the arms forward, bringing the thumbs to cross, moving those arm bones back, and then reaching from your foot to your fingers. Tighten the lower belly. Two more breaths, stay with it. And then bend into your front knee, take a giant step back, landing in your lunge. Arms reach up to frame your ears. Right inner thigh scissors to pull that right hip forward. Start to let those arms come back behind you. Nice broad wingspan. Pinky fingers turn forward, thumbs turn back. Let that lift your chest. And then bring the hands behind you. Fingertips interlace, knuckles reach down. Really pulling them towards the floor. And then very, very slowly, lower your back knee all the way down. Take your time to bring that back knee all the way down to the floor. Release your hands to the inside of your front foot. Planting fingertips or palms. Try to straighten that left leg directly out to the side. And then take it so that it's in line with your left hip. Maybe planting your palms here. Lift from the outside of that left leg. Cross the left leg behind the right leg and bend the knee. So the front knee creates a mitt for the back knee. And you can even walk your feet a little wide. And then press your hips back towards your heels. You can even wiggle your hips a little right to left here. All right, start to bring the weight back forward. So your shoulders are stacked over your wrists. You're in that crisscross knee tabletop pose. And then that left leg comes all the way straight back behind you. Take it out to the side. Take your time. Slow, 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 slow. See if you can keep that leg straight and bring it all the way forward. And then bring all four corners of that left foot to the floor. Curl your back toes under, lift your back knee. So now we're in that lizard lunge prep. Maybe you're keeping your palms on the floor. Left knee on left shoulder. Maybe you're working to bring your forearms all the way down, but you're keeping that right leg active. So right heel straight back, chest forward, finding that squeeze of inner thighs. Look forward rather than back so that your neck is an extension of the rest of your spine. One more big breath in, dragging hands back to draw the chest towards the space in front of you. And then let's step that left foot back to meet the right foot, so you're in your forearm plank. We're gonna take those hips side to side, so try to keep your ankles from bending right to left. And you're just gonna draw a big arch on the ceiling with your pelvis. Right to left, up and over. For 4. Kind of suck that belly button in and up as you take it to the top of the rainbow. 3, 2, and on 1, bring your pelvis all the way down to the floor and untuck your toes. Turn your hands to face the corner edges of your mat. So elbows in, hands out. And then press down to lift your forearms up. So this is a variation of your cobra pose. Traction the hands back to draw the chest forward, but keep pressing into your feet and your pubic bone and toning your lower belly. And then lower your forearms all the way down. Turn your hands in and bring your forehead all the way down onto the tops of your hands. Bend your knees and windshield wiper those legs a little bit side to side. You gotta do a lot of core work. If you don't have a hot room, you gotta get something to build up the heat. Hands next to your shoulders. Press the hips back to your heels, coming into child's pose. Now let's bring this into a tucked toes. So you're curling your toes under in this child's pose. And then we're gonna take this to rabbit. So you're gonna reach back with your hands and catch your heels. Lift your head off of the floor, look back at your knees, And you're gonna keep looking at your knees so that as you bring the head down, you're on the top of your head rather than your forehead or your third eye. So you're resting on the very top of your head. And then press the shoulders, the space between your shoulders forward. Lift your sits bones off of your glutes, which should give you a nice big stretch in the space between your shoulder blades. Keep holding onto your heels. It's gonna give you traction. And then untuck the toes, bring the tops of the feet down and roll all the way into a seated position. So you're coming all the way up into a kneeling pose. Arms reach up to frame your ears, palms come to press. And then exhale, elbows bend. Hips forward, chest lifts, gaze lifts. Let your tailbone wide back behind you. Release the hands all the way down to the floor. Come to high plank pose. Take it from high to low. Upward dog or cobra pose. And then hips back, downward facing dog. Looking forward to the top of the mat, step, walk, or jump the feet to meet the hands. Find your half lift. And exhale, release into your forward fold. Utkatasana, hips sink low and back. Sweep those arms all the way up. And exhale, rise to stand. Drive the pelvis forward. Bend the elbows, curl open through the chest, firming up the legs. Inhale, reach those arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center. So one more round through. Inhale, reach those arms up. Exhale, fold all the way back down. Inhale, half lifts. Plant your palms, step or jump back, bent knee down dog. Roll forward, high plank pose. Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts up. Right knee bends without letting that hip open. So really activate that foot towards the ceiling. Walk the hands back towards your foot. Try to keep that left foot grounded as you curl your right knee in, skate that right foot all the way through. Bring the right foot to the mat. See if you can spring off of your back toes. Bring it forward to warrior three. Arms reach out in front of you. Cross the thumbs, move those arm bones back, lengthen from head to heel. Bend your right knee, take that giant step back, land in your high lunge pose. Release your arms into the bend of a cactus, and then lengthen those arms back behind you, pinky fingers turn forward, thumbs turn back, open through your chest. Interlace your fingers behind you, reach those knuckles down, and very slowly lower your back knee. So that back knee is lowering straight down towards the floor. Untuck those back toes. Release the hands to the inside of your front foot. Right leg goes out to the right side. Take it, lift it as high as you can get it, keeping that leg straight. Take it all the way back behind you. Cross the right knee behind the left knee. Drop the hips low and back. This time we're gonna sit it all the way back into Gomukhasana. So walk your feet wide enough that you've got space and bring your pelvis all the way down to the floor. So left knee is over top of the right knee. I'll turn so you guys can see me a little bit better. And if this is not comfortable to do from seated, know that you can take this on your back. Left knee over top of right knee. More sensation comes from walking those feet further towards the top of the mat. Place the left hand in between your shoulders. Use your right hand to press the elbow down. So you're working that left palm in between your shoulder blades. You want to make sure that that left elbow lines up with your armpit rather than coming to the back of the head. So that arm has its own lane. And then right hand comes behind, and you might clasp, you might not. Don't worry if you don't have the clasp. You can always keep that right hand on the top of the elbow if that's a better option. Now lift up and out through your side body. From the space of your hip to the base of your ribs gets a little bit longer, and then maybe exhale to fold forward. Keeping the spine long. So you're not rounding here, and you're continuing to actively flex your feet. Inhale to lift all the way back up again. Release those hands down next to your sides. So we're gonna switch a couple of times, which is a nice way to keep those hips warm and strong. You're gonna place your hands next to your right hip, and you're gonna keep walking around in a circle until the right knee is on top. So you're turning all the way around, and that right knee will be on top of your left knee. Yes. And then you're gonna do the same thing again. Walk all the way around. Left knee over top of right knee. Sink it all the way down. You're gonna start to feel that burn pretty quick. Take it all the way around, back to the top of the mat. Right knee over top of left knee. One last time, I want you to land with the left knee on top. Walk it all the way around. Left knee on top of the right knee. Nice job. All right, so from here, left leg goes straight back behind you. I want you to imagine that you were trying to kick the left knee back and lift the left foot up. Right leg is gonna kind of come almost like you were going into pigeon pose, and your hands are over towards the right edge of the mat. So you're lifting from the outside of that leg. Option to bring your hands in front of your chest, and then tap that left heel all the way forward, and take it all the way back behind you without letting the foot hit the floor. Kick the heel back and up. You should feel on the outside of the booty. Bring it all the way forward, tap that left heel, and take it all the way back. You're leaning in the opposite direction from your legs. 2 more times. And tap it back. One last time, tap that heel forward, and then bring that left leg straight back behind you. Lift the heel, lift the knee, kick it back. You're gonna kick that heel back for 3, little pulses for 2, and on 1, place that right or left inside of your left ankle all the way down to the floor. Let's square our pelvis off. So now you're working to bring yourself forward so that you're in pigeon pose. Right knee is out to the right. You wanna make sure that your right knee has its own lane. Left leg is straight back behind you. Walk your hands back so that you're placing one hand on the top of your right knee, one hand on the inside of your right foot. Squeeze those inner thighs together and rise up tall. So building that strong adductor muscle strength. Stacking shoulders over top of hips, making it into a little bit of a back bend. Scissor that left hip forward, lean back and open, open, open through the chest, look up. Maybe those arms reach back behind you if you feel pretty stable here. Left hip should stay wrapping forward. Pinky finger turns forward, chest lifts up. And then release. Bring those forearms all the way down to the floor. You can take a little bit less activity in the legs now. You can let those inner thighs release slightly. Maybe you're walking your arms all the way forward and bringing your forehead all the way down to the mat. 5 deep breaths. Slowing down your respiration, softening your body. And then planting your palms back underneath of your shoulders. Curl your back toes under and extend your right leg all the way up towards the sky. And then circle that right knee forward just a few times. And then lift that right kneecap way up towards the ceiling. We're gonna take it all the way up and over, finding wild thing pose. Hips flip, chest lifts, wrap the shoulder blades together and reach the right arm towards the sky. Let's bring it all the way back around again. Plant your right palm, take your right leg straight back behind you. If you want, taking it through a one-legged vinyasa. And we meet back in downward facing dog. All right, let's take side number 2. Inhale, left leg lifts up towards the ceiling. Remember that foot is planted like you can reach it to the sky. I want you to really make sure you're still keeping it active, but keep that left hip facing down. Walk the hands back so that they're in front of your right foot. Curl that left knee in towards your chest. See if you can keep all 4 corners of your right foot down as you skate your left leg all the way through, lifting from that left heel. Now see if you can bring all 4 corners of that left foot down, hands bring to the heart, spring off of your back toes, and lift that right up to the height of the hip. Extend the arms forward, find your warrior 3. Strong standing leg, lift from the back of your right thigh. Take a giant step back, bending your left knee, land in your lunge. Arms come back behind you, find that nice wide wingspan, and then interlace your fingers. And as your knuckles reach down, bend your front knee slowly, lower it all the way down to the floor. Untuck your back toes. Release the hands to the inside of that front foot. Take that left leg out to the side. So try to straighten it forward and then bring it out to the left. The toes are facing straight out in front of you. Cross that left knee behind your right knee, bending the front knee to create a little mitt for the back knee. And then walk your feet wide enough that you can bring your sits bones all the way down. So now you're in Gomukhasana on side number 2. So you're not sitting on your feet, you're giving yourself enough space to bring the pelvis all the way down. Right hand comes in between your shoulders. Left hand might press that right elbow down. Lift the chest up, lift the elbow way up, and then maybe circle that left hand behind and the hands might clasp. And you can stay upright if you'd like. If you decide to come forward, remember that you're not rounding the spine, that you're keeping your chest moving forward, and I want you to make sure that those feet stay active. So you're still flexing your feet. Draw that belly button in and back. And then inhale to lift all the way back up through center. We're gonna switch it right to left, so hands to the floor. You're gonna walk it all the way around. So hands next to your left side. Turn, 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 turn. Left leg on top of right leg. Nice. And then take it all the way back. One more in each direction. So we're landing with that right knee on top. Take your right leg back behind you. So you're gonna square that left leg off to the top of the mat a little bit more. Active flex in that foot. You can start with your hands on the floor. So both hands are over on the left side of the mat. And then you're lifting your right foot up and your right knee up. And you're kicking back at the same time that you're lifting up. So you should feel it on that little indentation on the outside of your hip. If you wanna make it a little bit more of a challenge to your core, hands in front of the chest. Now tap your right heel all the way over to the left side of the mat. And then sweep that leg back behind you. Really kick the foot up and back. Keep your belly toned the whole time. Bring that heel forward and take it back. 2 more times. Nice work. Next time you bring that leg back behind you, you're gonna find that little pulse. Kick the heel back and up. Pulse it for 4. Little pulses for 3, 2, and 1. Hands to the floor. Let's recenter the body. So you're working to bring that left calf as close to parallel to the top of the mat as feels comfortable in your body, but a diagonal line is an option as well. So if you feel any kind of sharp sensation on the outside of the knee, you can also take this pose on your back and eye of the needle pose. I should have mentioned that on the last side. Now scissor the inner thighs together. You notice if you look at my picture that when I scissor in, I'm a little further away from the floor, and that's what we're looking for, is this buoyancy that we get from working our adductors. Squeeze in, start to bring your hands to the top of the thigh, to the inside of the foot. Especially scissor that right inner thigh forward and squeeze your right glute. It's gonna help to center your torso. And then work to bring your shoulders back in line with your hips. Tighten your lower belly. Lengthen the sides of the body and start to curl open through your upper back. And then if you feel pretty stable here, reach that wingspan back behind you. Turn the pinky fingers forward, the thumbs up. Rise, 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 rise for 3. Breathing deep for 2. You guys look fantastic. Hands release all the way back down to the floor. You're gonna bring your forearms to the mat. You might even walk your arms far enough forward that you can bring your forehead down. And you're gonna start to release a little bit. We've done a lot of that adductor muscle work, so it's okay now for us to take a little breather and have the relaxation, like a yin variation of the pose. So letting your forehead soften all the way down to the mat. And then working to give your hips their own lane. So kind of tugging your left hip over to the left and your right hip over to the right. Yeah, and you can close your eyes. We're gonna be here for a few breaths. Now start to walk your hands back underneath of your shoulders, slowly coming back up. Curl your right toes under and extend your left leg up and back. And you can circle that left knee out. Remember, you want to keep that right side of the body stable. So this practice has kind of been about the way in which we can explore our mobility while still building stability into the body. We're going to take it all the way up and over to wild thing. So spin your right toes to face the back of the mat, hips flip, wrap the shoulder blades together, and lengthen the left fingertips away from the body. Really wrap and open through the chest. And then place that left hand all the way back down to the floor. One or two-legged chaturanga if you'd like. Look forward to the space between your hands, and you're going to hop yourself to cross-legged. So ankles crossed, bring your butt all the way down to the floor. Nice. All right. Let's take double pigeon pose. So you're going to place that flexed right ankle over top of your left thigh. Make sure that your calves are stacked. If this doesn't work, and I can't see everybody's legs, but it looks like for the most part everybody's good, you can also take this on your back. Otherwise, you're working to lift and move those sits bones back. You're pressing your right knee down towards your left foot, and if it doesn't come all the way down and you have a shirt or a pillow or a block to stick in between it, that's a great way to work. And then start to walk your arms forward, maybe bringing your forearms all the way down, but you're listening to your body, and this one will be here for a while, so take your time to find the full expression. I know there's a lot of sensation happening, so finding the amount of sensation that's sustainable. Inhale to lift all the way back up again, and we'll change the legs. So let's take the right leg on the bottom, left foot comes over top of your right thigh. Remember, the active flex of that foot is super important, so you want to try to pull the pinky edge of your left foot back so that the ankle isn't sickled. Stacking your calves, and then working to kind of move your tailbone back and your chest forward. One side is probably going to give you a lot more information than the other. I know for me, my left side is, whew, it's like, hello, good morning. Use your breath as a way to guide yourself deeper, that each exhale, you might be able to kind of relinquish the holding in the body a little bit. And then walk those hands back up towards the legs, rolling up your spine, coming into a seated position. Extend both legs out in front of you, give your knees a little shimmy shake. And then reach the arms up to frame your ears, side body lengthens. Exhale, folding forward to catch the outer edges of your calves, your ankles, or your feet. You might lift and move your sits bones back a little bit so that there's more of a tip forward in your pelvis. Elbows bending in, drawing your belly to your thigh first, then your chest, then your forehead. So head to knee is not really of any particular importance. Inhale to rise all the way back up again. Exhale to start to lower down onto your back. So as you lower down onto your back, you're going to start to lift your legs up. And you could stay right here with the legs lifted, or you can continue to lift the feet up towards the sky. Now, this is super important. If you're coming into full shoulder stand, I know it's tempting to watch what I'm doing. Don't watch, just listen for this. We want the head to be straight up towards the sky. So gaze towards the ceiling, legs lift, hands come to the lower back, and you'll work to bring those elbows closer to one another as you lift your feet way up towards the sky. Squeezing the inner thighs together, spreading out your toes. We've done a lot to open the hips, so if you have full lotus and you wanted to go there, you're welcome to bring your legs into full lotus. Slowly start to come all the way back down again. If you're in full lotus, you might stay in full lotus. And you're going to extend the legs or the knees forward, bringing your hands underneath of your glutes for this one. So hands are underneath of the glutes, palms facing down, elbows hug in tight towards the sides of the ribs. You're going to nestle those elbows closer to one another, and then press back to bring the top of the head onto the floor. So this is fish pose, which you can do with straight legs, or you can do this in lotus pose. You can also take fish pose with the feet on the mat if that feels better for you. Chest is lifted, top of the head is just barely resting on the floor. And then look at your knees or look at your legs. Bring the back of your shoulders to the floor and release the hands out from underneath of you. Bring both knees in towards your chest and make a little circle with your knees in one direction. And take that circle in the opposite direction. And then flex your feet, feet up towards the sky, knees down towards your armpits. Try to drive the knees towards the mat without letting your tailbone lift. So pressing the base of your tailbone into the floor as you press those knees down. And then you might straighten a leg into the hand. And then bend that knee and straighten the other leg. Maybe straighten both legs into your hands. And then release, extend both legs out long on the floor. Right foot to the right edge of the mat, left foot to the left edge of the mat, and arms next to the sides. Palms face up towards the ceiling. For your final resting pose for your Shavasana. Closing your eyes and taking a slow, deep breath in. And then opening your mouth and exhaling all the way back out. See if you can let the back of your body really soften and relax against the support of the floor. Inhale again, fill up from top to bottom. And exhale to release. And then just let the body melt. You're welcome, breathe. So feel free, if you'd like, to just turn off your camera and stay in Shavasana for a little bit longer, or sign off and go back to Shavasana. But if you have other things to do with your day, I just want to make sure I'm honoring your time. So maybe finding a little bit of movement in your body, and slowly making your way onto one of your sides to press up to a seat with your eyes closed. Placing a hand on the belly, a hand on the chest, and taking a slow, deep breath in. And then releasing that out through your mouth. Again, a breath to rise up nice and tall. And that sigh of relief out through your mouth. Bring your palms together, lift your thumb knuckles up to the third eye center, and just very gently fold forward over your mat. The light in me honors and cherishes the light in all of you. It was